Welcome everyone. Let's just dive right into today's explainer. We're unpacking a deeply emotional, super raw poem titled Inferior. Our goal today? To really understand that universal journey the text lays out. You know, that wild ride from the absolute crushing depths of self-doubt all the way to those subtle but honestly profound beginnings of self-empowerment. We're going to map out the anatomy of these feelings exactly as the author laid them down.
So, have you ever felt completely trapped by your own mind while everyone else around you just seemed, larger than life? The raw emotions pouring out of this text are something almost all of us have wrestled with when we're feeling lost or just totally overwhelmed. It's a deeply human thing to feel small, and this poem captures the absolute essence of that struggle with incredible clarity.
Section 1. The Trap of Comparison.
Our journey through this piece kicks off right where so many of our own personal struggles start. You see, before those heavy feelings of isolation really set in, there's always a catalyst. And for the narrator here, that trigger is the crushing burden of comparing themselves to the rest of the world. They state, "I see myself less than me," while at the exact same time noting, "as I see others more than me." This just brilliantly illustrates that immediate distortion of self-worth. They're taking their own identity, shrinking it down, and placing it directly against this magnified, almost towering perception of everyone else. It's a mental trap, right? They shrink while everyone else grows.
So the absolutely crucial point to catch here is how that initial comparison doesn't just make them feel bad. It literally strips away their voice. They write, "I see myself in loss of words, as I see myself forgotten." Constantly comparing yourself to others, it quickly silences you. It makes the narrator feel completely erased from the story of their own life, essentially making them feel invisible to the world.
Moving on to Section 2, Isolation and the Mind.
As this loss of voice starts to harden, it turns into a profound, inescapable sense of isolation that exists entirely inside their own head. The author uses this incredibly powerful metaphor of a prison to describe their mental state. They say, "I cannot see a horizon. I have no way to see me." Notice how being trapped in your own mind completely cuts off your view of the future. There's literally no horizon, and simultaneously severs the connection to your true self. The walls of this mental prison just block out absolutely everything.
When we break down the specific symptoms of being inside this mental prison, we find a lost soul standing without any direction. They feel humiliated, forgotten, and they really emphasize lacking any friends or anyone to call. And crucially, they view everyone else as being higher up. It becomes strikingly clear how putting everybody else on a pedestal only supercharges their own terrifying loneliness. It literally solidifies the bars of their cage.
We can actually map out the narrator's temporal anxiety here. Notice how their mind fractures across time itself. They're completely trapped in the present, in this frightened self. And because the present is just so painful, they retreat backward, agonizing over past possibilities. Meanwhile, they look forward without knowing what the future brings, turning the great unknown into a source of absolute dread. They are emotionally paralyzed across the past, present, and future.
Which brings us to Section 3, The Burden of Unworthiness.
This is arguably the deepest, most difficult part of the poem's emotional arc. The narrator doesn't just feel lonely or trapped anymore, they've internalized all these external struggles as a fundamental flaw in their own being. They start to see themselves as absolutely unworthy. It is heartbreaking to read, but man, is it deeply relatable if you've ever been in a really dark place. They explicitly state, "I am not worthy of change, as I am unworthy to relate." They've concluded they don't even deserve to get better. They believe they're fundamentally unfit to connect with other humans. It's the ultimate form of self-sabotage, right? Convincing yourself you don't even deserve a way out. Now, without making any grand theological claims here, we can objectively see how the author contrasts an ultimate judging superiority, a God up there judging me, against themselves, down here, lost, looking at an empty hand. This is the ultimate magnification of that comparison trap we talked about at the very beginning of this explainer.
Just look at the raw vulnerability on display in these lines. The narrator refers to themselves not as a person with agency, but simply as a little creation. They feel entirely at the mercy of life's whims, stating that whatever life gives, it ultimately takes away. They see themselves as utterly small and completely unknown.
Section 4. Reclaiming the Small Self.
Okay, so right at rock bottom, when the narrator has accepted that they're just a little creation with nothing left, this subtle yet incredibly powerful shift happens. Instead of throwing in the towel entirely, they lean into their smallness. They say, "I grab with two hands. This little bit I have left. I have me, knowing nothing." This is incredible. They accept that they know nothing, that they are small, but they literally grasp onto their own bare existence with two hands. They realize that even if they are less than all, they still have themselves. They are claiming ownership over the tiny piece that remains.
Having claimed that small piece of themselves, the narrator asks a pivotal question at the very climax of their despair. Who should I turn to in this dark reality? And you know what? It's no longer just a rhetorical expression of defeat. It actually sets the stage for a definitive, active choice. They are looking around in the dark, seeking a real direction to move. And here we hit the turning point. I want to break free from my imprisoned mind. This is exactly where passive suffering transforms into this active, energetic desire for freedom. They've recognized the prison from earlier, they've gathered the little bit they have left, and now they declare their intention to break out. The whole energy of the text just completely shifts from defeat to pure determination.
Let's look at Section 5, the seed of hope. That active desire to break free launches us into our final uplifting arc. The narrator stops staring at their empty hands and starts looking toward tomorrow. Let's trace how the poem lays out this beautiful growth process step by step. First, they hope tomorrow brings a clearer moment of truth. Out of that clarity, step 2 is seeing a little seed growing from the chaos. Finally, in step 3, they start seeing lights and little powers growing, revealing their inner strengths. It's a perfectly structured emergence directly out of that mental prison we analyzed earlier.
The transformation here is just striking. Listen to these words. From the chaos of this life, my past forgotten now. In stark contrast to earlier in the explainer when they were hopelessly paralyzed by past possibilities, the narrator has actively chosen to leave the past behind. Their focus is 100% present, on the lights they see right now and those little powers growing within them, finally showing them their own resilience.
I'm going to leave you with this thought to mull over the next time you find yourself caught in the trap of comparison or feeling incredibly small. In moments of total chaos, where will you find the little seed growing in your own mind? Because, as this incredible poem shows us, even in the absolute darkest reality, when your hands feel completely empty and your mind feels like a prison, there is always a tiny seed of strength waiting for you to grab hold of it and let it grow.